David, we know that you and your wife both have demanding careers. We also know that you're an advocate for father-centric support groups and conversations. Being in this parenting space, I've seen the value of dads and their groups and just being there for each other. So you're preaching the choir, sir. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Talk about what you've done further to address these unique issues that fathers face.
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple different things. I think about it both personally and professionally. On a professional level, when I was going through everything that we went through, my wife and I was at a company of 15-ish people. So there wasn't a whole lot of policies and procedures that were really in place to meet the new demands that I had upon myself for the very first time. I didn't know where to turn. And I think, unfortunately, it takes situations like that amongst your employee base. That's going to those situations will kind of rock the boat in the right, in the most positive ways to make sure that policies change moving forward. So immediately we started to see, and I was kind of leading the charge for updated policies and procedures. And we've done that every single year for the last 5 years, which has been great. Outside of that, though, there needs to be, outside of paperwork, there needs to be a culture that allows people to feel safe and okay not being okay. And especially I find, particularly in men and males, it's really difficult to go onto a conversation with a lot of other males in the room and be really vulnerable in that way, right? To shed a tear in front of another guy, right? And say, I'm struggling today. This is what I've got going on in my life. So I felt it was important for me to, when we were going through that, instead of hiding behind it and just working through it, which don't get me wrong, I worked through it and I had my own faults through my grieving process, but I still openly spoke about what happened to essentially give myself the space to not be okay. So that if and when a moment hit me and I needed to feel that grief for a moment, that I'd already kind of forewarned everyone. And I didn't have that little thing in my mind saying, oh my gosh, if I break down this call, it's going to be awkward. So everyone was kind of there and understood where I was. But moving forward, that allowed other people, whether it was a similar situation or any other grief they had in their life, a loss of a friend, a family member, or anything else going on, that they could pull me aside and share with me what was going on in their world. And that allowed me to be a better manager, leader, colleague to them